Hey, and welcome to my guide on the Tithe Farm. This is post the update in May of 2023, so you see I got 10,000 seeds there. These are the levels that you need for Tithe farming. Obviously, level 74 is better, you get more XP, but you can start as early as 34. You want to drop the fertilizer, just because that makes up a lot of weight and it doesn't help you get XP. And if you've got the farmer's outfit, that's really good for bonus experience. You want to wear weight reducing clothing, so graceful is ideal. And if you've got the whole set, or even part of the set, that'll increase your run energy restoration, which is really useful, especially for the second and the third method. So with Tithe Farm now being instance, you can pretty much choose any rows you want. Personally, I think these rows are the best, so go up this one and down this one for method 1, and for method 2 and 3 you go up here and then use these two on the top right corner and come down there. So the reason I use these rows is because it makes pathing a little bit easier. So if you plant a seed here and then you plant one up here, your character will automatically run to the right spot because it's got that little walkway in the middle. I'll show you what happens if you come over here, if you're using these ones on the side, and you plant a seed here, and then you go to plant a seed up on this diagonal one, your character won't run to the right square, he'll run off to the left. That'll cost you a lot of time if you keep doing that, and you can't really do it if you use method 3 either because you'll lose too many ticks. So method 1 involves planting 16 plants and you replant as you harvest them. It's really straightforward. So if we come here, I'll demonstrate how it works. We plant one here and then we basically just go up in a straight line and we just keep doing that. We go all the way to the top of these 8 and then we turn around and we come back the other way. So you might have noticed as we were doing this that we've got quite a lot of downtime, especially once you're past the first 4 to 8 plants. You end up spending quite a bit of time just standing at a plant waiting for it to grow to the next stage so that you can water it. And that basically just means that you've got a huge amount of room for error. So if you don't water things on time or if you lag, it's no big deal, you should be able to get through it fine. So once we're at the end here, you basically want to harvest them all and then replant them on the same cycle. You won't lose any time or you won't get behind on your plants by doing this, even though this particular cycle takes a little bit longer, and that's because they're still spaced out evenly. And that's method 1. It's super straightforward, lots of wiggle room to make errors, and it's great if you're just beginning or if you want to watch a video or something on the side. Here's the layout for method 2. On this one we're going to plant 20 plants instead of 16 plants. So on method 1 we just walked in a straight line, but for method 2 and 3 you've got to do it in a zigzag fashion. And the reason you do that is because you save a bunch of time moving diagonally rather than moving straight, because you're basically covering 2 squares instead of 1. So you'll see in this example here that I've got these green tile markers, and you basically click in them first and then you click on the allotment. And the reason you do that is so that your character paths to the right place. So you'll see here that I make a bit of an error. I clicked to plant the plant before I'd finished watering it, and so my character didn't end up doing it, and that would have lost me a few ticks. Fortunately with method 2 you do have a bit of wiggle room, so it's not the end of the world if you make a few pathing mistakes or if you click too early, just as long as you don't make too many in a cycle. For these last 4 plants, we just go in a straight line like we did for method 1, and then when you get to the end of that, you just run all the way back to the start. So method 3 is exactly the same as method 2, except you're adding a 21st plant onto the cycle. You have to be absolutely tick perfect with this. If you even get one tick behind, by the time you go around to harvest the plant, that one will go diseased as you go to harvest it, and then you'll have to skip it in order to catch up. An important principle that really comes into play with this method is to always run an even number of tiles. For anyone who's not aware, it takes the same amount of time to run an even numbered tile as it does to run an odd numbered tile. So if you look at this screen here, I've coloured them by twos. So it takes the same amount of time to run both green tiles, even though one is 4 spaces away and one is 3 spaces away. You've got to use this to your advantage and make sure that every time that you're running an even tile so that your character is covering the most distance possible in as short a time as possible. So the pathing here for method 3 is exactly the same as it was for method 2, so I'll speed this up and go through it until we get right to the end. So although these four next are also in a straight line like they were for method 2, you'll see that my tile markers are spaced out in an even number of spaces. So between these two are 4 spaces, then we've got 2 spaces, and then we've got another 4 spaces. And again, that's because we can save a tick by running an even number of squares. If we just did this like we did for method 2, we wouldn't actually have time to get back to the 21st plant to harvest it. Really, the important thing to note here is that you can't miss a single tick. If you're doing this planting cycle, this very first one, it's quite easy to miss a tick because you have to click on the seed really quickly and you have to walk to the next tile really quickly. If you misclick and you get it wrong and you end up missing at least a tick, just don't worry about the 21st plant. Just do your regular 20, run to the end, finish that cycle, and then on the next cycle when you go to plant again, then you can add the 21st one. So I'll demonstrate this method 3 for a little bit more, just so you can see me go through the watering and the replanting for the next cycle, and you can get a feel for what it looks like when it's done without missing any ticks. With a bit of practice, if you learn how to pull off this method without making mistakes too often, it's definitely an improvement on method 2. Here are the XP rates. It's useful to note that these are the XP rates after the update, where you don't have to keep going back to the foyer to get another 100 seeds. With the 10,000 seed limit, you can basically just keep going as long as you need to, provided that you've got the Groliker's watering can. I definitely recommend doing at least method 2 because it's quite a lot more XP than method 1, and it's pretty user friendly. I personally only do method 3 if I'm feeling a little bit bored or if I'm trying to experiment. So thanks for watching my guide. If you've got any feedback or if you know of any better methods, by all means let me know. I'm really keen to try and find the fastest XP possible. And I hope the editing wasn't too jarring on this video. It is my first video. So yeah, thanks for watching.